Sins and Commandments, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a moment here at the beginning of this video to praise the sun. For those of you who don't know what happens in this episode, I urge you to go back, watch the episode, then come here. I don't know why you would watch a review before watching the episode, but stranger things have happened on the internet. So this, of course, is episode 20 review. And we need to praise the sun. Now, I made a very extensive, a very long review when the manga chapter 333, I believe it was, came out. And I will have the thumbnail here, and I'll post a link to that review in the description box down below if you're curious on my initial thoughts. Because I knew this was coming, of course, because I read and reviewed the manga for a number of years. If you want my initial reactions and how I felt about this, and before knowing what is coming later on in the story, in the season, etc., if you want the sort of the fresh take when the wound was fresh, then I urge you to definitely go check out that video. Even if you haven't read the manga, you're caught up this point in the anime, you should be able to watch it, right? And that delves into a lot of talk, of course, about Escanor. In this particular review, I'm going to talk about a few things that I had issue with, but I'm also going to talk about the good aspects. And I'm definitely not going to, most of this video is of course going to be praising the sun. Most of this video is going to be talking about the later half of the episode, the important part of the episode, easily. And the direction for the remainder of the season. I don't know how many episodes there are left. Is it 24? Is it 26? I have no idea, but I can tell you right now that I'm not looking forward to a single one. So that being said, let's get into this episode, because first things first, let's do the complaints. Let's do the complaints first, and then we'll start praising the sun. Because I want to end this video on a positive note. The first problem is the magic power limit spell that Merlin does. This happens in the manga, so it's the manga's fault, yes indeedy. But this limit break, they literally put limit break in because they just wanted to soup them up. Like, the problem with Merlin, and a constant problem with Merlin as a character, is she is a plot device. She is a deus ex machina. She's said to know every spell in the demon world, and as they need them at fight after fight after fight, she pulls them out of her ass. You can argue that she had this knowledge, but you could also argue they try to fix this, and we can't talk about that yet. They try to fix the reason for this, and it honestly ruins the rest of the story. But what she does here is power limit break. And that was never useful. Any other situation, like in the entire series, nobody thought to do that. Yeah, anyway, so bit of a problem there, though. Now let's go on a positive. I can maybe switch back and forth. I'm basically going to just do this in order. I have the screenshots here of the moments I wanted to talk about, so we'll just go through that. So I'm already switching up the format. I'm just really beside myself. I just finished watching the episode, and I thought that the soundtrack with Escanor was really, really good. Not everything was perfect for that scene, but it definitely was not badly done, so yeah. The next part was the full counter idea. I love the idea that the Demon King, after realizing that he was going to lose, goes to use kill switch and whatever. And once again, you can have a little argument on this stuff, but at the end of the day, Meliodas does hit it back. He saves his father after he begs him. And just for his father to turn on him, and it's like, well, I'm glad I didn't do that, because he used, of course, Lost Veins' ability, which is duplication. So he was splitting himself into clones when he hit that, and he hit it towards, I don't know if he ever truly intended to not hit it back and destroy the Demon King once and for all, but he did give him that one last chance, that one mulligan of a chance, and nope, too bad. So I like the idea that this attack, while powerful, combining all the power of the 7 deadly sins, is still it's great. It's power limit break and all that stuff, but still, this is the Demon King. He is a god. It's going to take quite a bit. So he continuously, as Zeldris points out, he's continuously full countering it back and forth and back and forth. And even the Demon King's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And that is basically what happens. The excess power is going to destroy the planet, Final Flash. Dragon Ball Z did this for years. The whole, aiming at the Earth and it's going to blow up the planet. Warp Kamehameha, Final Flash, all those things, right? So, but here we have the lake. Now, this is explained a little better here in the anime. In the manga, I didn't reread the official translation before doing this video, but in the manga, they had a very different way of describing this, and it made no sense. This one at least does make sense, that it's the initial lake, the one that, Deanne created the giant platform, the plateau for them to fight on so that the Demon King could no longer absorb the infinite magical power of the lake beneath them. The lake does not need a body or a vessel, and it's just this, almost like space, like the final frontier sort of warp, like we can't understand the concept of this ball and energy of water, of infinite magical power in water. Another problem with that, another con to that is, why did no one ever think to use this before? It comes up, the Demon King is aware of it. You're telling me that Meliodas, Merlin, nobody else thought to utilize this thing. Once again, previous battles. The power limit break is okay, but it was never used before, and we don't have a reason why not. Same with this lake. Why did no one ever think to fight on this lake or use this lake? So there's a little bit of inconsistency here in this arc, and that sort of ruins some of the moments. There is a talk between Meliodas and the Demon King that really, at the end of the day, didn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe it makes sense later on in the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, because what's going to happen later on in the story for the remainder of the season is just wacky, and it's not meant to make any sense. Alice in Wonderland called, they want their crazy back. So, then we also get the return of Mile. He did something. He made sure Zeldris was okay. Good job, Mile. You actually did something. Ugh, that was not good. We also get a good moment between Zeldris and after Meliodas decides, because the Ten Commandments are still around, destroying the Demon King is very, very difficult, of course. There's a lot of, he's still a god. The Ten Commandments are still active. And what ends up happening is Meliodas, of course, has his Demon King form. And he's basically like, if I put all the energy and sacrifice this power, this insane power. And Zeldris says, like, you could rule everywhere if you keep this power. Are you sure this is the right thing to do? And he's like, but that's not what I want to do. Zeldris, it's not what you want to do, my brother. That's not you. That's not me. We are not going to be the old man, like, ruling through power and fear. It's just not us. So, and this is not Meliodas giving up all his power. It's just giving up the godlike power that he has obtained. And by sacrificing it, he can destroy the other godlike power, being the Ten Commandments, sort of like a cancel-out feature. I felt that actually worked. A lot of people did complain about this when the manga came out, when the chapter came out. I never minded this. It sort of made sense. It allows Meliodas to stay, so he doesn't have to return to the demon world, or the demon realm, and also it finally gets rid of not only the Demon King, but the commandments entirely. And I'm like, okay. And Meliodas can stay in the mortal realm, blah, 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 and be around his friends and 7 Deadly Sins and run a bar, right? So, fine dandy. And we get a nice moment between Meliodas and Zeldris, sort of like, hey, you want to have a drink with me sort of idea? And, of course, Zeldris being Zeldris, it has to play it cocky, has to play it cool and just be like, well, maybe if my brother invited me, that kind of deal, right? Like, so... he's playing that really cool, and that's all fine, dandy. It's a nice brotherly moment. I like the moment beforehand, as I said, with the where Zeldris was sort of like, hold on a minute. He grabs him by the arm, there, and he goes, hold on a minute, brother. And so we had some good moments there. Then we get into the crux. Then we get into the main thing of this chapter. And... Yeah, praise the sun. That's all I can say. This episode was not beautifully animated. It certainly wasn't perfect, and there were some bad shots and some bad choices. But overall, the good thing is they made sure, unlike season 3 where they made a major blunder, a major mistake with, of course, the big fight, the Escanor versus Meliodas fight, and it was poorly animated. The two fan favorite characters, and they went toe to toe. We first learned of the one, and they messed that up. They messed that up hard. So what they do here, though, is they make sure that Escanor always looks fire, pun intended. He always looks fire. He always looks well done, well drawn, close-ups, far-aways. They never have a bad shot of Escanor during this entire scene, though a couple of the other characters suffer slightly and do that sort of melting thing that it just doesn't look clean. Escanor is handled very, very well. The soundtrack was very nice. It's very good. I'm hoping to find out what the name of that is. I'm sure it's called something like the Death of Escanor or something like that. And I'm hoping to be able to find it on YouTube later on and, just listen to the actual music without the lines and all the sound effects and stuff. I'd like to listen to it because I thought it was a great overtone for the scene. And I think it is quite a powerful song and it was done very well. So appropriate music, appropriate shots. Pacing-wise, it was okay. I felt it could have been a tiny bit slower. A couple more shots. The shots with Escanor, once again, were very well done, very good, but they did not utilize, you could sort of tell, once again, this is sort of maybe budget restraints or something, I'm not sure, but there were some scenes in the manga. There was a scene where Merlin, she's just grabbing herself, right? She's holding herself, and you think she's all composed because she's standing more like this, back straight, chest out, sort of just yeah, this is sad, but I'm nonchalant, sort of how Ban doesn't cry. But then all of a sudden, you see, in the manga, you see her do this. She's gripping herself, so tightly to keep herself together. That was, I felt, significant. Her eyes were hidden by her hair in another shot. These were very, in my opinion, they were important scenes, and we didn't get those. So things like that were missing from the scene. Took me out of the moment slightly when I realized I wasn't going to get them because I was hoping for it. This is the last great moment of the season, guys. There is no other good moments in this season. There is none. There's none. If you guys are expecting anything good after episode 20, I'm just warning you right now. It's not going to happen. There's nothing good that happens after this. But for this scene, I was hoping for, I guess, just that little bit more. But that's only a nitpick, because once again, I felt this scene, while not doing it 11 out of 10, 10 out of 10 justice or anything like that, it handled it as knowing the quality of the last season, knowing the quality of this season. I think it's about as good as we could have expected. And they made sure that Escanor never looked bad. Regardless of everything else, the music was good, the pacing was okay, they skipped a few things, which, as I said, is a nitpick, but for the most part, it was great, and of course, Escanor's voice actor does a fantastic job. They spend a good amount of time on it, so that's why I say the pacing is okay, it's not perfect. I can think of a few things that would have been better to do, but overall, a fantastic scene, and I'm not going to rehash, as I said, what I've already said, and I'm urging all of you, definitely go check out the chapter 333 review that I did on my channel, on my old channel, re-uploaded to this channel, and it was a really, I spent a long time talking about what this can mean, where it can lead, etc., etc. One of the big things is, of course, Escanor says goodbye to everybody, and nobody is willing to turn and look at him. Nobody wants to, because they don't want to face the reality. There's so much unspoken and unsaid character, progression, just feelings in this scene. It doesn't need to be stated to us, but you realize that nobody wants to turn around. Mile is not willing to do it. Deanne and King are not willing to do it. Elizabeth is not willing to do it. Everybody has their backs turned to Escanor while he can't leave. He knows he's going to die. And he's standing there recognizing this, and nobody wants to face that reality right now. Deanne and King are speaking. They know it's not going to happen, but they even say, what do you mean us? You mean all of us, right? We're all going to go home together. We're all going to celebrate right now. You're coming with us, aren't you? And King and Deanne are trying to, just warp reality at that point. They're trying to, form some justification. They're trying their best, and it's not going to happen. They won't accept the reality right now, and they know if they turn around, the reality is going to slap them in the face, and they can't deal with that. They can't help that. So I think the way the scene was played out was done very powerful with body language and all that. And then, of course, we see everybody crying and stuff, and he goes through each person. And it's done very, very well. I wish they had jumped to, flashback scenes showing, because I believe they showed it before. I'm not sure if they did this in the manga. But I sort of think they did, where at the very least he says, Gother, you were always a great listener companion. You would always listen to what I had to say and give me, even if it was out there advice, you'd still always talk to me and listen to me and give me advice, regardless how crazy it was. Bon, just don't drink so much, I like the idea there was an early translation that said, Bond, don't drink so much since you're mortal now, as explaining that Bond can't drink himself stupid because now his liver might give out on him finally. So that was always a nice thing. Deanne and King, I'm sorry, I'm going to miss your wedding. He says all these really nice things. Mael, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. And then, of course, Meliodas, and Elizabeth and all that stuff, say goodbye to your father, say goodbye to Hendrickson, say goodbye. Meliodas, you are my greatest, my benefactor, my greatest friend. I'm going to miss you so much. But thank you for accepting me. Thank you for allowing me to join your crew. I could never have hoped to have friends like you. Then he turns to Merlin, and he says to Merlin once again, I've always loved you. I knew you could never love me, but that was fine and stuff. So Merlin, as I said, at this point, the cracks were starting to show in the manga. They didn't really capitalize on that or utilize that here in the anime. A little disappointing once again, because at this point I was still defending Merlin to a point. As a character, I was defending Merlin at this point. And she basically says, for all you knew, I could have been using you because you were just a really interesting experiment, and I'm intoxicated by the idea of the unknown, of knowledge. And he just basically chuckles and says, that's fine. The fact of the matter is, even being in one sliver corner of your mind or your heart is acceptable to me. It's great. And then this is where Merlin finally lets her walls down. And she states to him, you were too late, you foolish man. You took too long. I wish, had you met me 3,000 years ago, everything would be different. But you were too late. And because Escanor states, I wish I could have been there in your heart, but I know I can't. I know that you carry a sin and stuff like this. There's some stuff to go over there. I don't feel comfortable talking about the sin and all that stuff in this scene, because I feel like I'll jump into spoilers and things ahead for anime-only viewers. So we're going to keep it brief here. That's not ever fully explained if Escanor truly knew, or he... As he says in the anime, once again, it's a little more fixed than in the manga. In the anime, he says the sad face that you had on your face, of my sin, and he's like, I can pretty much guess what it is, sort of idea. And it's sort of I don't know how you would have guessed this, but so that's as far as spoilery as I'm going to get. But then a great scene comes up, sort of ruined by the whole let's zoom out an image, reminded me of the Escanor versus Meliodas fight. But at this point, he's going to burn up, and he says, everybody better stand back and stuff. Meliodas, as of course his great friend, says, well, I can take it. I'm going to stand here with you to the end. And so Escanor accepts that. Merlin starts walking forward, and Escanor's like stay back. I'm dangerous right now. It's going to burn you. I'm going to hurt you. And then the kiss. The kiss happens. Merlin was not able to love Escanor the way Escanor loved Merlin. But she states here, and this was a great moment at the time. This was a fantastic moment, and it was well done here. Everybody is shocked to see this happen, everybody can't understand it. And Merlin kisses Escanor. Escanor is shocked by this, and Merlin simply states, I could not love you, but you're the one man who truly loved me, and I know that. And to prove that you were alive, the one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have the one man who can scar my body. And that's why she kisses him, because, you know, the flames, they torch her face, sort of idea. They torch her chin and her cheek and stuff like that. It's much more brutal and much more powerful in the manga, because here the animation makes it look like, I don't know, like she got a slight tan sort of idea. So that, once again, sort of took me out of the moment, unfortunately. But it was extremely well done the way she states it, that this is all I can do. I can't help you, I can't save you, and I can't fall in love with you. And it's not just guilt. She wants to love Escanor. She wishes, as she states earlier on, she wishes that she had met Escanor 3,000 years ago, because she could see it possible. She could see Escanor being worthy of her, loving her, and him loving him back. She can see the potential for that future that never could be. And she's frustrated, she's heartbroken at this junction. She can't allow a man into her heart at this point, and she can't fix that about herself. She knows it. You could argue that there's some guilt in this kiss and stuff, sure, but I think it's more of the fact it's a thank you. And I'm sorry. It's an apologetic. It's a thank you for loving me, and I'm sorry, and you deserve at least this much. This is the proof that you were you, that you were alive. The one man to ever, like, mark my body, to scar my body. And that's why she took the scars on her face, and she won't heal them. That is one moment that happens, and I don't feel bad for spoiling this. It was argued when the manga came out that if Merlin herself couldn't do it, Elizabeth should be able to heal the scars, and I believe that is brought up in the next manga chapter following this episode. And no, she's not going to do it. I don't know if it was brought up or someone just said, Elizabeth basically said, no, that wasn't the point, or Merlin said that wasn't the point. And I remember arguing this when that chapter came out, that I said, just because she could heal those scars, if she can, she would never do that, because that defeats the entire purpose of being scarred in the first place. She's going to carry that for the rest of her life. And I really like that. I just really enjoyed that. Back, as I said, at this point, before we know what's coming after episode 20 here, this was a great send-off, an amazing chapter. And this episode I would argue it did it justice. It's not perfect. It could have been better, but it's certainly acceptable. It was good quality, and it was an acceptable send-off with a great tone and everything like that. I could keep going on and on, guys. I think that review for chapter 33 was like 45 minutes long for 333. So I'm going to end this here, because, once again, I urge you guys to go check that one out as well, because I go far more into detail and stuff like that. But, yeah, I think it was a worthy send-off. And the ending part where it fades away, Escanor burns up, and it says, "Goodbye, Escanor." And there dies the greatest character in the series. There dies the greatest character in all of manga for OP. Because this is true OP done right. This is OP done right without being broken. Escanor embodies that perfectly and completely. Most OP characters OP can almost be a synonym for broken for a lot of manga characters. Alucard from Hellsing, Saitama from One Punch Man, Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, but here, you didn't need a plot device to fix it. It worked from day one. It worked perfectly. Everything is understandable. Unlike the things I complained about before with Merlin and the lake and stuff like that, there are every single battle where you can say, well, why wasn't Escanor there? You have a reason, a justifiable reason. And it's just like, it makes total sense. Every single time. There is zero problems. And I really like that. There is one slight issue that I wish it was so easy to fix, is the fact that Escanor took back the power of sunshine. And then he went toe-to-toe with the Demon King. Now, one of the things is he chooses to go into the Ultimate One form. And a lot of people, I forget how it was paced in the manga, but a lot of people, I think it was not paced as well as the anime. And a lot of people said, like, he did that for nothing. He didn't need to do that. Meliodas was back. Zeldris was fighting, all that stuff. And there was no reason for him to sacrifice himself. And so this death scene sort of became slightly meaningless. Like, he died for nothing. You can argue that, and I won't deny that. What I always wanted was Meliodas and Gowther still in the world trying to save Zeldris, Bon and King and everybody being overwhelmed, and Escanor had no choice. The one was over, they were being beaten, and the Demon King was about to cut down King and Deanne, or King and Gowther, or something like that. And Escanor had no choice. Everybody else was down and out, and Escanor was the only one able to stop him by doing the Ultimate One. I always wished that had been the case, because then it's justifiable. Meliodas wasn't back yet to assist. Everybody was going to die, and then they would have lost the war. They would have lost the battle. The Demon King would have won. Had he not done it. I always wish that they had tweaked that here in the anime, because it's the one sort of flaw that I found with his sacrifice. But outside of that, I think everything is viable. I think the character is fantastic. Escanor is fantastic. Just praise the sun, praise the sun. This video is going to be 40 minutes long. How long is it? It's almost half an hour long already. So that's enough of this review, guys. The other reviews will be, of course, far shorter, unless I'm going to rant about something. So this is going to be the last positive review, most likely, for the rest of the season. So definitely watch it a couple of times if you want positivity, because there's going to be some cynical negativity happening for the next few episodes. So until the season is over. So I might praise the last episode, because thank God it's over, sort of idea. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. What did you think about the Escanor Destiny? Is this the first time you knew about it? Are you an anime only watcher and this shocked you, or you're not sure how you feel about it or whatever? Or do you think, as a manga viewer who knew that this was coming, do you think they did it justice? Let me know down in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, it's always very much appreciated. Don't forget to drink responsibly, as always, and we will see you beautiful sons and guns again, as Lost Paws would say, next time. Can I steal that catchphrase? Sure, just for one video. Just for one video, sure. Okay, see you later, everybody. Peace out.